love the story of the new graduate from college. He's so excited because he wants to go to the old farmer and tell him that he has a brand new way of creating irrigation and that it will alter the farmer's life. And he's so excited, and the farmer's taking in everything that the young man has to say. And then in a moment, he says, "Son, I really appreciate your intention. However, I'm still learning how to do better what I already know. I'm still learning how to do better what I already know." During this time of COVID, or more personal in my life, of working with grief, of saying goodbye on a physical plane to people that are very close to me, I always like to go back to the basics. I like to go back to the teaching, the New Thought teaching, which I discovered, or it discovered me at 19. I like to dig deeper. I like to ask myself those questions. What do you believe about God? What is your relationship to God? What are those experiences in your life? And you don't get smaller, you get bigger. And you don't go into a closet, you become more out loud in your own life. When we ask ourselves, why is it that more people aren't engaged with God or with light? We might say, well, because maybe they haven't met any practicing New Thoughters, right? Maybe they haven't. Maybe they haven't met any practicing New Thoughters. The concern is maybe they have met some New Thoughters that aren't practicing. So we go deeper into looking at our basic principles of New Thought, of what do we believe about God. The answer that you give currently ought to look very different than the God that you had when you were a child. It's like when the teacher asked little Glenn, she said, "How do you spell crocodile?" He said, Krokodial. And she said, "Well, that's wrong." He said, "Well, it might be, but you asked me how I spell it." And that was fundamental to the teachings of Jesus, the person, about the discovery of the Christ. That was fundamental to say, it is done unto you as you believe. We can have 30, 40, 50, 50,000, 5 million people, and each and every one can be operating from a whole different belief system about what God is. Some of my most fun moments is when I'm at a wedding as a guest, or I'm at a party as a guest, and somebody comes up and introduces themselves almost apologetically and says, "Well, I'm an atheist. Reverend, I'm an atheist." And I go, "Good for you." And they say, "Excuse me? I've never seen a minister excited about me being an atheist before." And I went, "Well, what I know for sure is that you're doing more promoting about God than most people do that say they believe in God, because you're talking about what you don't believe. You're talking about the God you don't believe in, and more than likely, if people would be more inclusive and be in that conversation, they would understand that that's not the God we believe in either." Every time, every year, and those of you that have been with me for a long time, if you're over it, I'm sorry, but I got to tell it. I tell it every time. It's like, so when I think about the time change, I always think about my dad. He's been dead for 18 years now. But I always think of him because every time, whether it's spring forward or fall back, I would call him the day before and say, "What do I do? Do I go forward? Do I go back?" And he would give me the answer. Every time he would give me the answer, and every time I would say 3 words: "Are you sure?" Are you sure? And one time he had had enough. And he said, "You know what? If you don't believe what I'm telling you, if you don't believe the answer I'm giving you, why call me?" And that is our relationship with God. If you don't believe in the God you're calling upon, if you don't believe the answer is the right answer, if you don't believe what the prayer has given you, if you don't believe that this is the highest and best for your life right now, then why are you saying that this is what you believe? Because it's important to check that. It's important for you to look at when I call upon, when I invoke, when I bring forth this new vision, this new idea, this new ideal, this health, this new vibratory space in my life. If I'm not going to believe the answer that's going to come, what's the point? What is the point? It's learning to fully trust the system, the consciousness that you represent. And if you don't feel that it's giving you what you're looking for, the first place to go is not to blame God, is to step further within yourself. What part within me? How do my eyes need to change? What part of my heart needs to open deeper? What part needs to be heard? What space, what moment do I need that says, here we go? Right? Because it's right in front of us. This presence and power. There's only one presence and one power in the universe, God, the good, the omnipotent. There's only one presence and power. There's one life. That life is God. It's our life right now. COVID is not a power, right? COVID is not a power. Disease and discord is not the one power. There is only one power in the universe, and that is the power of God. Age is not a power. It's a space of life. COVID is a space of life. Your heart, these spaces, this moment, the physical dimension is a space of life. Yet there's only one presence and one power. Alcohol isn't the one power, right? Al-Anon. They are aspects of our lives, while at the same time we put the one power to task. Test me. Test me. I can hear Edwin Gaines saying it right now as she looked at her wallet with nothing there at one time, saying, God said, test me. Test me for more abundance. Test me for more life. Test me for more energy. Test me that I am not letting breaking news break me, but therefore I am putting an energy and a vibration out to this community, to this planet in which I live and have my being. Test me in that space. Step further in and declare, here I am. You know, I'm looking forward to being able to go back to the theater again. And in that space, I love, you know, the ushers. They're so helpful. They have their flashlight. They have their jacket. You can identify with them. And one time, this one theater usher, he was in training. And he was sitting in the back, and they were talking about what to do when there's a fire or whatever. And his manager came up and said to him, he said, son, are you prepared? As this usher, are you prepared? He said, do you know what needs to happen? Are you ready if there's a fire? He said, oh, don't worry about me. I'm just going to slip right out here out the back door. He did not take his role to heart. He did not take his position as being someone with the light. He did not take it deep within himself and realize the responsibility that comes with it to take a stand. Are you? Are you taking your position as you're running around town or on social media or promoting you in some way or Twitter or whatever it is or handwriting letters? Are you stating who you are? Are you taking your responsibility of someone that says, I'm a practicing new thoughter and I believe there's only one presence and one power? What are the conversations? And when we see you out in the world, what do we see? Do we see glorified hope? Do we see energy? Do we see joy? Do we see possibilities? Do we see miracles? Or are we back into just mediocrity? There's not a space for the one presence and one power and the energetic field of God, and you being the same and made in the same image and likeness, there's no space for you to be mediocre. There is no special occasion that you get to be mediocre or just ordinary or just wanting to fit in. The greatest reality that you can have is hoping that in your entire life you will never fit in. Because if you have, you are in somebody else's box, not your own consciousness. If you have fit in on some way, you've made some adjustment to fact versus spiritual truth. If you have fit in, somehow you have negotiated a lesser package than what you are due and what you are destined. Does this flow with you? Because I'm just kind of going with it. It's the one presence, and therefore I am that. Here it comes. Here you come, God. Show me what you got. Here you come, God. Show me who you are. Here you come, God. Wow. Show me something. Show me something you're excited about. Wow. What the possibilities are. And the way we align with this reality according to our principles is we watch how we use our thoughts, how we use our feelings, how we use our emotions. We watch. We don't just spend an hour on listening and talk about thinking and change your thinking, change your life. Whoop-de-doo, change your thinking, change your life. It's change your thinking. You have to change your life. This is not instant. Change your thinking. You have to change your life. You have to look with your feeling embodiment and say, this no longer fits in my story. You don't just come in for an hour and go, yeah, kumbaya. Kumbaya. Change your thinking, change your life. I change my thoughts. Thoughts are prayers. We're always praying. And then that's all you do. No, there's work to be done in you. There's changes to be done in you. There's the space of, it's not just being impressive and giving a great talk or creating a poster or, doing that. It's about in the day-to-day and the other 24 hours, what's coming out of your mouth? What are you thinking? What are you saying? What are you declaring around you? What are you modeling? You don't forget it when you get in the car after you've been to community. You go, wow, I'm not just talking to you. Remember, I said I do this for me. I'm talking to myself. I am declaring that in my life, starting today, March the 14th, 2021, that my God has just exceedingly become larger. My God has just grown a whole other level in my consciousness, and I want to do what I can to grow into that, to measure, to provoke, to invoke, to call forth, to pray into the experience of what is needed, because it's coming. We've yet to see the miracles that we are due on this planet. Do you agree with that? We're yet to see the miracles. When the only miracles we can think of go back over 2,000 years, we have some work to do. Because I really live by the modeling of Jesus, and what I remember that he said is, great things have I done. I appreciate the attention, but greater things are you also going to do. And somehow they didn't hear that part. Greater things are ye also to do. You could hold the vibration that when you go into the grocery store, wearing your mask, of course, that when you go into the grocery store with your mask on, with the vibration of knowing who you are and the light that you are carrying, you could hold the consciousness that everybody in that grocery store would become absolutely abundant in his or her life. You could hold the space that every person, all conflict, all discord, by the very nature of your presence in the grocery store, every person there with discord could be immediately eliminated. You could hold the space and even grow into the fact that you don't have to go in the grocery store. But you could hold in your heart all the local grocery stores and bless them and know that there is no more discord. There is no more lack of peace. There is no more breaking news breaking you. There is no more addiction. There is this space within us that is called for so much more beyond the mediocrity of life, beyond that space of the ordinary. Who wants to say, I gave my whole life to be ordinary? Status quo. Know who you are. Know your name. Know your holy name. Invoke into your life with a level of prayer and consciousness and walking meditation that the very nature when people see you, they are rejuvenated. They feel like they're having a resurrection. They feel like they're lifted up. They may never give you the credit. You may never hear about it, but you can hold that space that the change is right here and it's right now. I love that cute little nerdy story about the man that's at the service station. He looks across the street and there's one guy digging about a 3-foot hole. And then there's another guy going behind him and filling in the hole. And he looks back and he goes, there's the guy digging the hole. There's the guy then filling the hole in. And he went, I just can't stand it. I got to know what the heck is going on. I mean, what are they doing? And he goes over there and he says, I don't understand what you're doing. He said, well, we work for the government. He said, well, aren't you wasting their money? He said, you're digging a hole and then you're filling it in. He said, well, what happened is there's usually 3 of us. And Jesse's not here today. Normally I dig the hole. Jesse puts the plant in the hole. Then the other guy comes along and fills it in. He said, but if Jesse's not here, he said, why should we lose our jobs? Because we're here today. So the moral of the story is when you dig things up and you really reflect upon who God is in your life, what do you believe? Do you believe that when you pray it is done instantaneously? Do you believe that you are using a power that is the greatest power and the only power in the world? Do you really believe that? When you dig yourself into that hole, you have to plant an expectation that's going to return to you 100-fold. The cause and effect that's going to come from that. You have to believe in that space. And it's not up to anyone else in your life to plant anything for you. It is about you planting in the seeds to grow and expand about your particular space of life at that particular moment. Is there God and light in the world? Well, maybe people haven't met a practicing New Thoughter. But what sadness that people would meet a New Thoughter that isn't practicing. And in this time of 2021, in the land of abundance and plentifulness, and a person doesn't have self-esteem, when you're born out of the image and likeness of God, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. We're carrying a vibration of change. We're carrying a vibration of healing. Go back to your principles. Go back to your principles. And what do you really believe? Because it is showing, or more importantly, not showing in your life. So I brought this bat today because, I just like to have a little fun, and it's just a little cute thing, It's my only time to play again. And so I love that story of the little boy that he's playing pitch with himself. And he throws the ball up, and he goes to hit it, and he misses. So he throws the ball up, and he goes to hit it, and he misses again. Gets very determined. He throws the ball up. He goes to hit it, and he misses it, and he walks away, and he says, good pitcher. Good pitcher. When you believe in the presence and power of your life, you believe and know what you represent. Thank you for representing us well. God bless you on this amazing journey that we call life.